How would you describe the difference in a US presidential election compared to a general election you're used to back home?
Well, I think other people have said this, but it's much more of a personality contest because you are essentially voting for an individual. You know, you're not really voting for a party, you're voting for one person who's going to have all this power. So, and I mean, the other thing is just how long this lasts. Even in a general election in the UK, I think it probably only ramps up about 5 weeks beforehand. I've been covering this election going back, at this point, 18 months. So it's just the length of time this whole thing takes, the media attention it gets, and of course, some of the beliefs are just much more extreme than we would get in England.
And do you feel part of this process, as if the outcome would significantly impact your life in America?
I do, yeah, actually. I mean, a lot of people joke about if Trump gets in, you know, I'm going to leave the country. But the fact is, most people can't, whereas I actually can. You know, for me, it's just a plane ride.
Is that something that you'd seriously consider?
It's something I would think about. I mean, one of the problems of living in America, there's a few, basically. If you're white and you've got money, you're probably safe here. I'm white and haven't got that much money, but just things as simple as healthcare that I took for granted in the UK. Here, anytime you break a bone or anything like that, you've got to pay, even if you've got insurance. Now, Donald Trump wants to get rid of Obamacare. So anything happens to them, you get ill unexpectedly, God forbid you want to try and have a child, you have to pay for all that. So I think in terms of people's long-term future here, would I want to have kids? Would I want to spend the rest of my life here? If Donald Trump gets in and kickstarts what he's talking about, which is dismantling Obamacare and stuff like that, then I think I would give it serious thought.
Trump, he's been seen as a protest candidate, much like Nigel Farage was with the EU referendum. Is there that same kind of divide in the US at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there is, and this goes back a long time. You had the Tea Party in 2010, so after Obama got elected for the first time in 2008, and the midterm elections, when people vote for senators, more local politicians, they voted in a lot of extreme right-wingers, and they called them the Tea Party. The people who are voting for Donald Trump most likely don't think abortion should be legal. They probably don't think any immigrants should be allowed into the country. You hear Donald Trump talking about the wall a lot. They probably don't think that there should be any kind of subsidized healthcare. And then on the other side of the political spectrum, you have people who basically believe all the opposite of those things. So I think there are similarities with the UK.
Are there the same sort of geographical divides?
Yeah, definitely. So people talk about the coasts being more liberal. So all down the West Coast, all those states vote Democratic. You've got Oregon, Washington, California, and then all down a lot of the East Coast, particularly in the Northeast, New York, Pennsylvania, etc., tend to go Democratic as well. But if you're in the South, which includes Texas and Oklahoma and Alabama and Mississippi, then they tend to go Republican, and that people are less likely to be college educated. They're more likely to live in all-white communities, so probably have less experience of talking to people who aren't like themselves. And then in the middle of the country, they call it the Midwest, around Ohio and Iowa, that's where you have a bit of both, and that's why those are the swing states that both parties want to grab, because they're what really decides the election.
Adam Gabbatt, thank you very much.